I'm just proving to myself that anyone can do anything they want if they really put their mind on it, right?
Yeah.
You can do anything. I have this motto, which is like, apart from dying, you can reverse or correct anything in this life. And you can do it. You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
You just have to have the attitude to kind of do it.
Ani Filipova, welcome to the Purpose-Led Leadership Podcast. Absolutely delighted to have you on the show. We met on Mount Kilimanjaro, which was an awesome experience. We can talk about that. But for those that don't know you, who is Ani Filipova?
Who am I? Well, can I start from the very beginning?
Please do, yes.
So I'm Bulgarian. I come from behind the Iron Curtain. I was born when there was Iron Curtain, Russia and Eastern European bloc. I don't know whether you remember this. You should.
Do. Yeah, I'm a similar age to you.
Yeah, exactly. So we were in that bubble. And when I say I'm from Eastern Europe and from Bulgaria, behind the Iron Curtain, everybody says, wow, maybe your childhood was so bad because you were locked there, you didn't have anything. But that's not true. Our childhood was great because we just knew whatever was there in the socialist Bulgaria. We didn't know what is outside and we were very happy.
Right.
So we were just, we were enjoying whatever we had, the small things we had. And we thought this is the best in the world ever. So I grew up very interested in reading. So I was reading a lot and I liked reading about travel. Because my dream since ever I remember myself was to travel, to get out, to see other nations, continents, countries, how people live, etc. And that drive and passion for travel have basically created my life and created my career even because everything was driven by that. So I was in Bulgaria. When you finish school, you have to go to university. There is no ifs and buts.
Oh, right. Okay. It's mandatory, right?
Exactly. Not no, but it's the parents would say, look, if you don't study, you're going to be a driver.
I see.
So that's it. You cannot. Okay. You have to go. And it was free of charge. So at that time, banking and finance started becoming very fashionable. And my boyfriend was admitted to study accounting. And I said, well, I have to do better than him. And I went for finance and banking.
Yeah.
Without even thinking I'll ever work in a bank, I had to study something. And I thought, well, this is what I'm going to study because banking means international.
Yeah.
Means I might be able to travel. So that was my goal. And I studied, when I finished, I thought, okay, now I'm going to apply to all the international companies. And it was the moment when Bulgaria was just opening to the world. And we had Shell and McDonald's and Nestle and all these companies coming in Bulgaria. So I was thinking, there it is. My career is set up. I'm going to apply. I'm going to get a job. And then I'll go abroad. Well, nothing like this happened because I applied to all the companies. They all rejected me. And it was the worst summer at that time because I was like broken. I thought, that's it. Yeah. I am going to forever rot here. I'll never achieve anything. That's it. I'm done. And that's not even, I haven't even started working. And I remember sitting on a bench thinking all these dark thoughts. And at that time, we were applying for jobs by paper ads in papers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Newspapers, remember? So I was going through because I had to work. I didn't have money or anything. I had to work. And it was an ad from a bank. And I applied and they took me after 3 interviews. And that's how it happened. Just absolutely no plan, nothing.
Yeah.
I never thought I'm going to be a banker. I never thought I'm going to achieve a lot. Never. Because...
Well, I have to say, from very humble beginnings, let's say, I think you were the COO of Citibank, which is no mean feat. I mean, it's a huge organization. Did you work your way up there? How did that materialize?
How did that materialize? Well, once I got into banking, I said, well, I'm here now. I should better do the best of it, right? And I decided I should, whatever they want to give me, I would take it. So I was not picking and choosing. Whatever they give me as project or something new, something to do, I would take it. And my goal was to have a broad view of banking, because I have another, apart from travel, the other thing with me is that I get bored very quickly with one and the same topic. So I can't be one thing all my life. I can't be only doing payments or be an FX dealer all my life. No, I can't do that. So I was going through banks simply because I was changing jobs, simply because I wanted to travel. So I started in a Bulgarian bank. Then when the first international bank came, I applied for it. Then it was a Greek bank, interestingly. And then a Central Eastern European bank came, Raiffeisen Bank. So I applied for them because it was, I would travel in Europe. Right? And then I got my first international assignment in Romania. I went to Romania. This was my first CEO job, but it was a smaller branch because it was about to be sold to a bigger. And then Citibank headhunted me in Romania to go back to Bulgaria and be part of Citibank.
Because this really fascinates me. I think it was Melissa, our joint friend and co-climber of Kilimanjaro, that she said, "Do you realise that Ani was a COO of Citibank?" I was like, no. What I mean by that is, when I met you on the mountain, very down to earth, very affable, open, kind, friendly, warm. I just personally, and it's probably my fault for judging and having preconceived opinions of people. I wouldn't have equated that. So I'd like to understand kind of from you about what you think it took to be to do that, particularly a female in that type of environment. It's very hard for a man to do that, and a female. It's such a great achievement, but I sense that it wasn't just your analytical and your study at university. It was all your softer skills as well, right?
It was mostly my softer skills and crazy job choices, because I told you, right? I went to Bulgaria. I was part of the founding team of Citibank Bulgaria. And then after 5 years, I was in the front office, executive director, part of the management board. We built the bank from zero to whatever it was.
How big? I mean, roughly, how big is it now? I mean,
Bulgaria is small, but I worked there only 5 years. It was, I don't know, from zero to 60, 70 people. But that was the max of what Bulgaria would be. And after that, I wanted to go, and because to be in such a global organization, and at that time, Citi was really the biggest global bank, not anymore. And you have to, I was thinking, sitting in Bulgaria, I won't learn that much, right? So I have to go somewhere else. And this was the first crazy job selection, because I was at the front office, executive committee, and then I decided to go to risk and audit because risk and audit was a group of people who would travel nonstop all over the world to check on branches of Citibank. So I said, that's the job for me. And they took me immediately, because who goes? I mean, nobody at this position that I was would go to risk and audit. And everybody said it's going back. But I didn't care.
So what softer skills have you used and applied to help you with your career then?
Well, I think, first of all, I have an interest in people, genuine. I'm interested of what they think, what makes them tick, how can I work with them, etc. It's not. It's just my main drive. Right. So it's not. I'm interested in numbers and strategy and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's not. It's not phone to phone, computer to computer. It's person to person. At the end of any line, anything, any computer, there is a person who talks to you. Even at the moment, at the other end of AI is a person, and the things that the AI gives to you is something that somebody said, right? So
let's get to know you as a person then, because I want to talk about your career, and you've obviously pivoted out of that into what you're doing now, which is really exciting, which we want to talk about. But this is the Purpose-Led Leadership Podcast, and I've had guests talk about their journey, their purpose, their dark times. So maybe going back to Bulgaria, or even along your journey, any kind of really dark times where you've had to kind of dig deep and.
Yeah. So the darkest time was, I thought that I'll never have kids and never be a mother, because I decided that I want to have kids when I was 35. Until then, I was not interested at all. Yeah. And then, as things happened with me, I woke up one day and I said, well, my husband is 20 years older than me. So I said, well, around 60, or when I'm really fit and everything, I'll be completely and utterly alone. So I said, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be that person.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, we have to have kids now.
Now or never.
Now or never. And this took 5 years. 5 years.
Right, okay.
5 years.
Yeah.
So it was, and I'm 35, I'm successful. And everybody is asking me, oh, when are you going to have kids? My mother said, oh, when are you going to have? And you can't tell anyone that, oh, well, we are trying, but nothing is happening. Yeah. And in the same time, I have to go to work, act as if I'm happy, communicate with people as if I can think of anything but this. And that took 5 years. I don't know. Now, looking back, I have absolutely no clue how I have done this, because you can imagine every time after every period, and I'm not pregnant. Yeah. It was like as if the earth is opening and I'm falling into it.
Yeah, right.
So that was a continuous thing. It was so tiring, so mentally exhausting. And it was so difficult to accept that is not going to happen to me. Because
psychologically for a woman, isn't it? It's like you've got a certain time before you can't have them anymore usually, and it must be quite kind of demoralizing. But also, do you feel like you almost associate your success in a way to having children or not? In a way, right?
I don't know whether it was just such a deep feeling that I want it, and that if I don't have them, I'm going to miss this out. Huge thing. And there is nothing that can replace that. Nothing. Zero. Yeah. And it's like anything can be changed, right? You can buy a house, you can buy a car, you can change it, you can travel, you can do whatever. But to have your own child, and you can't do it.
Right.
And there is no other way.
Yeah.
It's like...
So 5 years, but eventually, obviously, you got pregnant.
Yeah. So 5 years. And at one point, I was so tired and exhausted. It's mentally, because you don't do anything physically, right? You're just thinking about this nonstop. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm not... it's not going to be me. I'm going to be the one without kids. And the next month after that, I got pregnant.
Wow. How did that feel?
I was ecstatic.
Yeah.
I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's true. And then on the second month, I had a big issue. I thought that I lost the pregnancy. And this is when I went to the hospital. I remember it so clearly, because I used to live in East London, Limehouse Marina. I was living there. I just remember that, and I got up in the morning, and it was, I was bleeding profoundly. So I said,
right.
So I called a friend. He came. He took me to the hospital. I was totally alone. Nobody. I mean, everybody working, etc.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in this hospital room, and they said that they can't do anything. I remember the doctor told me, even if I you just hang down with your legs up.
Yes.
If it was not designed to happen, it's not going to happen. And that's a thought that is really killing you.
Yeah, of course.
But luckily,
everything
was fine. And not only that, but during the scan, they actually found that I have twins.
Oh, wow. You're a mother of twins? Seriously?
Yes, I'm a mother of twins. I have a boy and a girl.
Oh, wow. How great's that?
Can you imagine? So it was an instant family. So after all this...
No way. It's like waiting for a bus.
So after the second month, it just until it was 6 months, and because this psychological thing, is this going to happen again? Am I going to carry till term?
Of course. So how has motherhood changed you then?
How? Well, I think, I don't know, become more patient and more kind of living in the moment rather than always on the run, always this and that. And once the kids were born, I wanted to have time off.
Yeah, so you're kind of going from chasing the next pay rise or the next role or the next, it was, you maybe stopped that, perhaps.
Look, not, and I'll tell you what happened, because the ambition to work stayed. That never deteriorated or disappeared. I have the ambition till now. It's a different ambition, but
of course, right.
Again, work. But when I had the kids, I had the opportunity I wanted to stop, and at that moment of time, they offered me to go to Asia.
Wow.
From work. So I was like,
what can I do?
I have to go, because it's such an opportunity, right? And not only for me, but for the kids.
Yeah.
So, and I said then, okay, one day I am going to stop work, but not today. But I had the full 6 months. I was staying at home with them. That was the best 6 months of my life.
So how did you manage to? Because I do feel that it's probably not that it's a competition. It's not easy for a mother or a female to have a family and be in a career, right? So how did you cope with that?
Not very well. For the outside world, I coped perfectly. Nobody can say that.
Brave face.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody can say that I was feeling guilty all the time, nonstop.
Were you?
Morning, lunch, or dinner. I was like, I was feeling guilty that I'm not home, that I don't see them, that I don't play with them. My husband was staying more with them. I was very jealous of that. So, and this is how things. I did enjoy my work, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was always guilty. When I'm coming home. At one point, when we were in Singapore, I was thinking, and we had a helper, because that's the beauty of Asia. You have a helper who lives in your house.
Oh, okay.
And does everything. So I was thinking, my goodness, are the kids going to love the helper more than me?
Yeah.
That was a thought. It was a thought. But it didn't happen.
That's a real interesting lens, isn't it? Because I think you're right. It's harder usually for the mother because of the career, but then you was on the other side where you got jealous for not seeing your kids enough. And I think men generally get that as well. What do you think men and women can do to help each other? So what can men do to help women more generally, and the other way around?
When I was working in the corporate world, it was like when 6 o'clock comes or 7, and they expect that the women should go home, and the men they don't need to, right? And this expectation that the children don't need their father that often. The father can be during the weekend, which I think is totally stupid.
I agree. It's damaging and for everybody, right?
Absolutely. And if you want to have balanced children who grow up happy, you have to have both parents.
Yeah.
And that idea that, I know the father, if the father is the bread earner, I agree. But the thing is, so what? They're not going to see the children at all during the weekend, tired, etc. So how is this helping the family? It's not. So it's a partnership, and I was lucky with my husband that we are partners. I remember very clearly when the kids were born, he said to me, if you think that I'm now going to be that father that's going to cart the kids around, and no, I'm not going to be that. And I said to him, okay, I am going to be that. And the roles totally flipped.
That's really refreshing. You just, you understood the roles that you needed to play, and you didn't conform to what everyone else tells you to do, right?
Totally. And he was the only man in all the mother's coffee mornings.
Right.
And he would have friends, etc. And he was fine with that. And we do everything together at home. Cooking, dishes. There is no job that is only for him. No, electrical stuff is for him. I don't do.
How long have you been married?
We are together for more than 20 years.
What's the secret? Come on.
Freedom.
Right.
Freedom. You give freedom to the other person, trust them, give them freedom, and they give you the same.
I love that. I think a good relationship is built on, as you just said, independence within a partnership.
Exactly. Especially the characters, my character and his character, very free people. And when you trust somebody, you just let them free. We got married after we had the kids.
Right.
Because we were traveling so much that we never had the time to be in one country for more than 3 weeks. And to marry in Britain or in Bulgaria, we had to be there for 3 months actually. And it was impossible. And we went to Singapore. And in Singapore, we got married.
Yeah. That's amazing. And what else? I mean, this is such a good topic because I'm divorced. I think communication is important as well. What else do you think is important in a healthy marriage or relationship even?
Well, we just have to... well, there is always a moment when you think, oh, I just hate him. I just can't stand him. And I'm going to now go. And then you have to just go somewhere, leave this half a day disappointment moment. And forget about it and go back. Because and just don't say anything stupid that you'll be sorry about after that. Because we get annoyed and we start saying things at the moment.
In the moment.
I just want to go. No, you don't want to go. You're just saying it to hurt the other person. Not because you have any intentions to do it. You just want to hurt them, to show them that they've done something wrong.
That's that patience thing, isn't it? That you talked about earlier about kind of like, I think that's right. As I've got older, I've kind of responded rather than reacted, or I've paused before I've acted. And I think, some words can really chip away at the other person.
Totally. Totally. Every family has its moments, but we never had such a moment that it was so bad. Not really.
So have you got siblings?
I have a sister. She's 5 years younger than me.
And what does your parents think of your achievements? They must be very proud of you,
My father died 15 years ago, very suddenly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from heart attack. So that was one of the worst days in my life. But my mother, they never knew it. That's the thing with banking. To go and explain what you do to your parents, it's very, very difficult. So I was head of cash management in Citibank. And what is cash management? Cash management is everything that is to do with account opening, payments, trade transactions.
And are these accounts for like large businesses as opposed to
corporates, etc. Right. Go and explain this to your father or mother who never had anything. My mother is a teacher, my father is an engineer, so they had nothing to do with banking. So it was, but they were proud. They were very proud. My father was extremely proud. Actually, my father was somebody who, he always said that I can do anything I want. He was like, so when we were small with my sister, my mother was a teacher, so she would go to school very early. She would wake up at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock she's gone from the house. And my father would wake us up, make us breakfast, do our hairs, because we both had long hairs. He would do different designs every day. And I remember in the evenings we would write to him, what you want. I want a sandwich with ham. I want a sandwich with jam. And in the morning, the plate is there. So that I only learned about women being the second quality citizen when I went to the West.
What do you mean?
When I started working abroad, when I started traveling. This is when I realized the
inequality of it.
The inequality. Because in Bulgaria, in the socialist time, everybody had to work. So both my mother and father worked. So there was no, staying home, there was no such thing. The grandparents were the ones that were looking after the children. So for me, that was, and that's how I was looking for my boyfriends and partners, and this is why with my husband we clicked.
So the determination that you demonstrated on that mountain was very powerful. You were determined. You also wanted to be at the front of the bloody queue, which I remember. That annoyed me. I said, "Why can't I be at the front?" You're like, "No, you're okay." Well, I just left you to it in the end. That's all right. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, I'm incredibly stubborn.
Yeah.
But specifically on the mountain, because I have an artificial hip.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I have artificial hip, and I have heart palpitations from time to time, and it's come from my mother. And I wanted to be on the front because throughout this journey, I was thinking I cannot have heart palpitation and nothing can happen with my hip.
Right. Okay.
So I was thinking, you can't fall, don't die, like.
Yeah.
You can't.
Right.
Because I was thinking, what am I going to do in this mountain, right? Who is going to come and save me? Nobody.
Right.
So I wanted to be in the front because it just gave me some kind of
safety, almost
safety confidence, which is so stupid. But the thing is,
psychological.
I felt, and then I was like, I'm going to be there because the idea that I can be behind and I can fall and something happen and nobody sees me, etc. That was what drive me. That's a very basic reaction.
No, that makes sense now. I thought you were just being a bit stubborn. I was like, oh, bloody hell.
Well, I was stubborn, but this is what I wanted, not to fall back.
No. So what happened to the hip?
Well, it's just a defect when I was born and nobody at that moment knew.
Oh, okay.
It just the joint was a bit different. For me, and it wears off and weared off much more than it should be. And I had no symptoms or anything, but I did sports that were not good for that kind of problem.
Has it affected you having that artificial hip that much, or no? The heart palpitations as well. I mean, I used to suffer quite a lot from social anxiety, but I'm a lot better now. I want to talk about the heart palpitations. Why you think you have them? Is it a physical thing, or is it more kind of a stress, mental health thing? And the whole kind of concept of mental health, feeling anxious. Because as you've said, I think being a corporate COO for 20 years is great, but I bet there were some times where you felt not like a corporate CEO, let's put it that way.
I never felt like a corporate CEO. That's why maybe you said that I'm down to earth, etc. I never took myself seriously. Never. I just don't, I'm not this big person. I always thought I'm just nobody. I have a very, very high expectations from myself. And I think that anything I achieve is nothing.
So almost whatever you achieved, it was like... Why do you think that is, though? What is, I think on one hand, it resonates with me. I got to 10 million, 15 million, 20 million. Every time I got there, I was like, okay. It's always like, on one hand, that was good because I had that drive. But on the other hand, there was a lack of kind of meaning and purpose as well.
Well, I think meaning and purpose, I don't think I lack that. I knew that I want to have an interesting life. I knew that I want to travel. So that was my goal, right? So it was not lack of that, but I think what happened when you grow up in a socialist country, the thing that everybody tells you is like you have to be quiet, don't speak up, don't talk a lot, be invisible. Because the more invisible you are, the less problems you're going to have. And this have been my upbringing. Okay, this is how it was being taught. Right?
Yeah, of course.
You conform to the rules, and
absolutely.
That's it. And you don't do anything because the Communist Party is you never know what will happen. And my parents were. His father was in jail, etc. So they had this baggage.
Yeah.
And that was what I was taught. And the moment I started working in a bank, and Western organization, Greek, then Austrian, and then American, it was totally the opposite. It was totally the opposite. So I had a really tough time.
Yeah.
To to actually ask a question. I was like afraid to even ask a question.
Yeah.
Because it was so against all the rules and norms I was brought up with.
Of course.
Sorry, I digressed. What was the question?
No, not at all. I think that's right. I think I know. It's in terms of like when you say you didn't feel like you were worthy almost, there must have been a sort of associated kind of lack of self-worth and trauma and all that kind of anxiousness.
Not trauma, because I didn't suffer something traumatic, right? But it was, I was not confident at all. Never. Even when I was the CEO, I was still.
But you were the COO, and you've done TED Talks and stuff like that. So how have you overcome that lack of confidence? Because to get to that position and you've got a very, very successful podcast, which we'll talk about in a minute. I've listened to most of that TED Talk. You came across superbly well. So how did you manage to elevate that?
Well, by doing it, by doing more and more talks, by asking questions, by talking, by putting myself into the thing that I really don't like. Because if I don't put myself, that's it. I would just sit on the fence or in the back somewhere and be very happy. Because I think, people say I'm an introvert, extrovert. I think I'm more introvert. Although everybody think I'm extrovert. My husband and everybody.
I think talking to the rest of the climbers, they didn't believe that I was this, or sort of like people like Rob and and other people. They saw me on LinkedIn and expected me to be this really loud, confident, kind of brash, arrogant, almost CEO. But as you know, I was there. I was quite timid and quite shy and all that kind of stuff. I think you were quite quiet as well. And I think it's an interesting concept, isn't it?
It's very interesting. I actually thought the same because I knew you from LinkedIn, and then when I saw that you were joining the group, you were totally different than what I would expect. And you're right. People generally expect something different from me. And I'm a quiet person, generally. I'm not...
How did you cope in that Kilimanjaro, kind of in the tent, -4, whatever, having to socialise? I found it challenging sometimes.
I found challenging... First of all, I hate tents. I hate dirt. I hate climbing.
Yes. So
I don't like any of these things.
Not the ideal situation.
Not the ideal situation. But the thing is, you're there. So you have to do the best out of it. That's my approach to life generally. I'm in that situation. There is no other way. I have no other choice. I either go up or go down. Going down, that's not a choice. I can't.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, all right, this is another night. I was counting 7 days. The first day, the first hour, the first minute.
Yeah.
So this is how I coped with it.
Yeah, break it. But what was
break it in small.
What was your fundamental reason for climbing that mountain?
It was just to prove to myself that I can.
Yeah. To yourself, which is important, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think the lack of confidence sometimes, from my perspective, was I was always trying to do things for other people. But when you start to realise that the only person that matters, who thinks that what you think about is yourself, things change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And many people ask me, why did you climb? And nothing special. I just wanted to see what it is to climb a mountain. And that was the easiest one because I just don't want to go to 8,000 meters. And I thought, this is easy. And then when I saw Leah's, I don't think I would go and research and decide to go. But when I saw Leah's message, I said, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Absolutely.
It was just like...
The sense of achievement we all got was one thing. I mean, that was phenomenal, the resilience that we've shown. But for me personally, it was kind of like I felt a real sense of belonging and connection, which I've never really had before.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. That group of 26 people was the best group I've ever been with.
Wow.
Right? Because it started from the very beginning, because we started with a huge disadvantage. We were almost not doing it, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And then the thing is, you guys were there. You did a great job. And I was sitting in my office at 11 o'clock in the morning, my flight at 5 o'clock. I was about to go and have lunch with my husband, and I get this email. And we had to decide in a matter of several hours whether you're flying to Tanzania, right? If it was Germany, okay, fine. But it's Tanzania, right?
Yeah. No,
So
amazing achievement, and I think it'd be hard to beat that. I think
it will be. It will be. Now I have to think of something else because everybody's asking. So what is next? What is the next crazy thing you're going to do?
Exactly. So, what happened then? Why did you decide to kind of leave the corporate environment, and what was that transition like? And kind of what are you doing now?
Yeah. So why I decided to leave? We were talking about the kids and one day, and that the time passes. We enjoyed our life in Asia. It was great. So two things happened. First, when I moved from Singapore to Hong Kong, when you move in a new environment, you know nobody, right?
Yeah.
And you create your new circle of friends from colleagues and people in the same industry. So I realized that I know only people in finance, banking, and maybe legal sphere.
Yeah,
and I belong to this bubble of Citibank was like 250, 300,000 people in the world.
Huge, yeah,
And then, but huge, but compared to 8 billion people out there, it's nothing, right? So you're in this small bubble and you see the world through the eyes of this group. This is what we think about the world, but is the world like this? No, not really. And then I started meeting people from other industries, and I got to know two ladies who created in Hong Kong the largest women entrepreneur network, 25,000 members.
Okay.
And I started going to their events. I became their ambassador, and one of the events, there were a lot of women entrepreneurs who had to pitch for free articles in magazines like Vogue and some of the big magazines in Asia.
Yeah.
And at this meeting, I saw so many women who were doing so many things that I never even thought about, didn't even imagine exist. Product, services. So I said, and that was the thing that the click went on. That there is another world that I can try, right? And in the same time, when my kids became 10, I was like, they're 10.
Yeah.
Another 4 years, that's it.
It makes it easier. I think, just interrupt you there, I think the first 3 years are hardest. Between the ages of 3 and 10 and 12, it's actually easier being a parent. But then it gets to that age, you can kind of, you've got more freedom yourself as a parent, I think, because they still need to be parented, obviously, but they're a little bit older, aren't they?
True, but the thing is, I was thinking, well, they're 10, and if I continue working the way I'm working, they'll become 15 teenagers, and I would not have spent the time I wanted to spend with them. And then I was like that time when I wanted to have kids, I have to leave now.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
And then we started preparing, started thinking where we're going to live, etc. And I needed time to mentally prepare. Because financially, I've worked hard all my life. I started from nothing. Everything that I have, I earned by working.
Yeah.
But it was the mental thing of what am I going to be when I'm not the CEO? So I'm not this very powerful person, right? And to get accustomed to this was very difficult. I spent a lot of time.
Must have been,
and whether I had to be sure that what I'm doing is I'm not going to be sorry. Because if you're sorry, you can't just say, okay, I'm back. No, you just leave. And then...
Yeah, that's it. It's a big decision, isn't it?
It's a big decision. And then, but my approach was, what would be the worst that will happen? Okay, so that was my question. So if I'm not the CEO, what is the worst that can happen? Am I going to be, am I going to live in a worse place, not be respected, not being happy? And I started imagining some scenarios. And if I can live with them, then I'm fine. So slowly, I was, at one point, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I would have no enough money to buy clothes and to be fashionable and to, and that's such a stupid thought. Now I think about it, it's ridiculous. How can I think such a stupid thing? But I used to think that. And it took some time, but then I left.
And what is it that you left into? Because you do 2 or 3 different things now. You've got your podcast, and you do some career coaching and and you're a speaker. Is that right?
Yes. So the largest thing I do, which I don't advertise that much, is I work with an American university, and we deliver trainings to Eastern Europe, to Bulgaria now and Greece, at a better prices.
Okay.
And it's courses like AI, organizational behavior, something new.
Yeah, right.
Because one of the things when I left was that I want to go and contribute with knowledge and experience to the place I'm coming from, Eastern Europe and the European Balkans, etc. Because that's an area where everybody kind of looks down upon.
Yeah.
And there's so many people who have potential. I mean, I, for one, I became somebody coming from that place. So that's one thing I do. I do coaching, yes. I have the podcast.
What type of coaching do you do?
Career coaching for executives, leaders. They connected me mostly to explore what it is to leave the corporate world.
Yes.
And then other people who are in their mid-career journey to see where do they go, or how can they start a portfolio career, have a side interest.
Yeah, I think these days it's about, you can have the most glittering CV out there, but I think that with the prominence of LinkedIn and personal branding, I think that you've got to show your human side. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to have a personal brand. You've got to do some stuff on LinkedIn. I look at your stuff. I think you've taken to that quite well. So I think you asked me this on your podcast. I think it's about, yes, have the experience, but I think you've got to demonstrate your personality a little bit these days, right?
You have to. I have no issues now to demonstrate my personality. I have to stop myself writing personal posts on LinkedIn, because you can't just non-stop. I have no issue saying anything because at the end of the day, there is nothing I'm ashamed of.
Yeah.
And nothing to be worried about.
Just be yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so liberating to be yourself. I had another guest on my podcast, and he said it's so easy to be yourself, and that's true, because you say what you think, and basically that's what gains the respect of people.
I was going to say, what's the biggest thing that's changed in kind of the current Ani versus the younger Ani? How have you evolved, would you say?
Well, first of all, I'm not shy anymore. I'm much more. I'm relaxed. I like myself much more.
What changed that then?
I think
experience,
the years,
time?
the experience, time, the fact that I prove to myself over and over again that I can.
Right.
That I can do different things that I never thought I will.
See, I think that's really interesting. What I'm getting from this podcast, you're not trying to prove anything to other people. You're setting yourself some objectives, and you're meeting them. So therefore, when you do that, I think you gain the confidence, because you've got the self-respect to say, I'm not lying to myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just proving to myself that anyone can do anything they want if they really put their mind on it, right?
Yeah.
You can do anything. I have this motto, which is like, apart from dying, you can reverse or correct anything in this life. And you can do it. You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
You just have to have the attitude to kind of do it.
No, I really believe that. What's been the biggest thing that's scarred you in your life, and also what scares you as well?
What scarred me? Oh God. I don't remember the bad things. That's a good quality. And now you're asking me, and I can't remember a single one.
Well, it's not a bad thing. That's good.
I'm sure there was, and I've been distraught, but I just don't take things not seriously.
Yeah.
It seriously is not the right word, but I know that better time will come, because how do you know that time is better if you didn't have a bad time, right?
Yeah.
You can't just only have a good time.
Yeah.
So
you
it's
take the
normal
rough of the smooth, just, you know.
Exactly. You have bad times, but then you have good
times. What are your thoughts on? Because, people say that therapy is really important, and I've always said up until recently, until you can talk through your trauma and your dark times, you can't move forward. But I saw something literally this morning from Matthew McConaughey about if bad shit has happened to you, I think what you just said there, instead of keep going back and trying to address it, why can't you just block that out and move forward? What's your view on generally kind of like handling trauma or bad situations? Is it trying to forget about it? Is it talking about it? Is it what's your lens on all that kind of stuff?
I think talking about it helps. At least it helps me when I have a problem. When I was not able to get pregnant. The only outlet was talking to a friend of mine who knew the whole thing. That was the only outlet, and then I feel a bit better because you just kind of get it out. And the other thing is, I can't speak about other people. I can speak only about me. And my approach is that what happened. You can't do anything about it. And if you keep going back, it just reminds you about these negative emotions. So learn from it. And if you don't learn from it, then just move on.
Accept it.
Yeah. It's difficult to accept it, but there is no other way. And even if you don't accept it, just move on. And when you start, you catch yourself thinking about this, thinking, oh, I could have done this and that. Just have to stop it.
Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what you do, shit's going to hit the fan at some point. And you could be the best COO, the best father, husband, wife in the world, and something's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
You just got to ride that sometimes, right? And stop. What I used to do is probably victimize myself and look for sympathy, but now it's just like we've all got our shit, and I'm all for like. So I did a post today about age not being a barrier. I'm 47. How old are you? You don't mind me asking?
54.
You look great for 54. I just feel we're at an age right now where, sorry to ask you that question, but
I don't care about age. Honestly,
Good.
It's
exactly.
on LinkedIn.
Yeah. We're old enough to know most things and young enough to still do most things. I think this middle age thing, I'm not saying it's easy, and it's not, but this age is the time of our lives, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I just feel great, knock on wood.
Yeah.
And let it continue this way. But it's all in the mind.
Even though we're oldish and wise-ish, you must have made some decisions you probably shouldn't have. Talk to us about any of those.
Decisions I shouldn't have. That's again my attitude is like, well, if I made a decision, I made it because I thought at that point it will be right? So I don't go back and think, oh, that was wrong, this was wrong. Because when I look back, no matter what I did, brought me to here.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't matter. It was maybe at that time it was wrong. And the other thing is every wrong decision, it takes 3 days, 5 days, 1 month.
Yeah.
And then it's not wrong anymore because everybody forgets about it and moves on with life.
I agree. We overemphasize it. But I always think that you only, as you just said there, you only do the best with the situation you've got at the moment. I think I pretty much reinvent myself every 2 or 3 months. I'm a different person to what I was 2 months ago. Do you know what I mean? I think we're constantly evolving, surely. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't know whether I reinvent myself so much, but so often. But
yeah. But what do you do for that in terms of like, I'm into my personal development and listening to things. I see this podcast as more of a hobby and an interest. It's a skill set. As you know, being a host is not easy.
Yeah. Being
a guest isn't easy, but I feel as if I'm moving forward by doing that. So what's your lens on that?
Well, I constantly have to learn something, to do something better, to do something more. And that's, if I move in a direction, it doesn't matter which direction, sideways, up.
As long as you're moving.
Yeah, as long as I'm moving, that for me is great. As long as I have a goal. And sometimes it's like, a goal like I have to be better with the way I eat, or I have to do more steps today, or I have to start making my bed every morning, not every second morning.
Yeah.
Small stuff like this, or I have to move my plate from the table to the dishwasher myself, not wait for my husband.
Yeah.
even these small things.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, our life is these small things. Right?
Do you know what? I used to get really pissed off with things and stuff like that. Not much really pisses me off these days. What about you?
Me too, because so what if it pisses me off? The only person that suffers is me, because I waste my energy and my nerve cells and my brain cells to think negative things. I'm not saying that I always manage to do that.
Yeah.
But generally, I'm just thinking, why should I spend
are you
time?
quite good and strict about setting boundaries? Anyone who's not giving you the right energy, are you quite strong with that? Or have you had challenges in the past with kind of like...
I had challenges in the past because I was a people pleaser.
Right.
So, and I generally get attracted to people who need help because I want to help everyone, and it's not possible. And I felt responsible for other people's feelings, which is a stupid thing to do because you can't be responsible if you haven't done anything. And even if you've done anything, let's say you don't love this person anymore, what can you do about it, right? You can't feel responsible all the time for that. But I was coming from that angle. I was like people pleaser, and everybody have to like me. But that's not possible. And that brought a lot of insecurities. Maybe that was feeding my insecurity, because I don't know what is that expectation. They say it's because women are brought this way. I can't remember being brought this way, but that was what I was feeling, that I have to. People have to like me, and if they don't smile, then they don't like me. I had this crazy.
Where do you think that came from originally? Then,
I don't really know. I don't know. I just. It's in my DNA, and I don't know, some genes coming from.
It's such a common thing, though, isn't it? I don't know whether it's how we've been educated or parented, but I don't know. I think they need to teach this stuff at school a bit more.
Totally, they have to, because it took me so many years to get rid of all these thoughts and everything, and behaviors that were not helping me in any shape or form.
We're kind of coming towards the end. It's been fascinating so far. What does the future hold for you, do you think? What do you want to achieve?
Well, that changes every 2-3 years. So basically what happened is I left the corporate world to be with my kids most of the time and do jobs that I like and use my time the way I want it. But my kids are now 14, and the time spent with them is reducing. They're in the house, but they just they're not interested that much in me. They, of course, we have a relationship. We build a great relationship, much better than what I would have built before.
Okay.
So now I'm looking for just have more work. I'm just now getting into work.
You enjoying the whole LinkedIn thing, because that's going really well, isn't it? I think you're thriving in that kind of like your community and that kind of stuff.
Yes, I am. This is not I love it. If I don't post on LinkedIn, I just feel as if the day is not started.
Yeah.
Because it's just that's a communication with the world.
Yeah.
And this is your network.
I think there's a lot to be said for that kind of feeling of togetherness and having an audience and serving something. I think there's a lot of fulfillment in that. A couple of more questions before we close. What's one thing that we don't know about you?
That I can make clothes, and I used to be a tailor because my grandmother used to be a tailor, and she. I remember the room where she was doing every summer in the socialist Bulgaria. We would be sent to grandparents, and in this room she had her sewing machine, and all the people that come and make clothes with her, she makes clothes for them. The little pieces of cloth were just all over the place, and there were so many materials left and threads, and it was so interesting. Then she taught me, and I'm skillful generally. With I can do a lot of.
It sounds like your parents were very good parents, actually, in terms of they taught you stuff, they provided for you, but also enabled you to be independent and do things yourself. Would you say? Or
no, absolutely. When I was 7 years old and started going to school, I had the key on a string around my neck, and I would come back home. There will be some food. And I come in alone, etc. Now these days, can you imagine a 7 years old going walking to school alone and coming back?
Can't do it. No.
And that was our reality. So I was independent from very early age, and then it only accelerated.
And losing your dad so suddenly, that must have really hit you.
This was I'll never forgive myself, because I was on vacation in Antigua, and I phoned home, and I was talking to my mother, and the day before he died. And I was speaking to her, and she said, "Oh, your father is wait a little bit. Your father is going to come in a second and speak to him." And I said, "No, look, I'll call him tomorrow." And he died.
No.
And it took me years to forgive myself.
Wow.
It was like he died in when was it? 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in Singapore in 2014. Even then, if I hear the songs he liked, I would cry. I would start crying in a public place. That was the worst, and it was the classic thing. In Antigua, the phone rings during the night.
Yeah.
I get up and I pick up the phone. My sister said that my daddy died.
No way.
And you just, when you know somebody is ill, etc., it's not easier, but he picked up the phone and said he's dead. And you don't know what to do. And I remember I was just silent and I didn't know what to say, do, or anything. That was the worst moment.
So that kind of haunted you for quite a long time, right?
Yes. Yeah. And everybody was annoyed by me because they thought I am
making it about you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And just they thought, oh, get your act together.
It's not like that. It's not simple as that, though, is it?
It's not. I don't know why, but I was feeling so guilty.
Right.
Imagine, I could have spoken to him.
Yeah.
And say.
So how have you processed that and not blamed yourself anymore then?
I think it's time. Nothing else.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I mean, whatever I did didn't help. So it was time. The time passed, and this is how it became easier.
A beautiful story, and you're a beautiful person inside and out. So thank you for coming on the show. Before we just end the show, what sort of advice or parting words of wisdom would you like to leave the guests in terms of people being an entrepreneur, people in the corporate, anything related to kind of that, would you say?
Well, very simple. Life is short, so you don't need to wait to your 50s to realize that. You can start thinking about this earlier. And time cannot be borrowed, sold, bought, stopped. It's going only in one direction forward. So use it because that's it. Time is so important. Do the things you want because you never know what is going to happen tomorrow.
Love that, Ani. An absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Purpose-Led Leadership podcast is sponsored by Orca Pay Group. We've chosen to partner with Orca Pay Group because they are an umbrella and payroll company that leads with trust and transparency. They cultivate enduring partnerships with sustainable growth. They aspire to live in a world where umbrella and payroll companies are trusted, where confidence is earned and transparency is essential. They operate as strategic partners for growth. They are pioneers of exceptional service, and they put their recruitment agency partners and their contractor experience at the heart of everything they do.